overloading. Okay, method overloading. I think there was one question about method overloading in the midterm, right? Okay, if you declare more than one method, or if you declare more than one constructor with the same name, this is known as method overloading. So, do you give correct answer in the exam? Okay, so 2 plus 3, yeah? So it is allowed. But how the compiler can differentiate between this and this? How it can be differentiated? How? Name same, right? But how the compiler knows that now the object calls first constructor? How the compiler can differentiate that? Okay, now the object calls the second one. How? How? Anyone can give the answer? Same name, right? So how the compiler knows that now the first constructor been called, or now the second constructor been called? How? How? You see the parameters? This is empty, this is one value, one parameter. So if the object calls counter and it includes one data, so the compiler knows now this one has been called. If an object called a counter but nothing is given as a value, so the compiler knows that now this one has been called. Okay, that's how compiler will differentiate which one has been or which one is being called. But if you do like this, is it okay? Now it's error. Even though you can have more than one method the same name, but it should be differentiated by the combination of parameters. Okay. Now, if you call object, now you have object, and object calls counter. Let's say the object calls counter, and the object in the bracket put 6. So which one been called? This one or this one? No. Why first one? Why second one? No, let's say now object calls call counter bracket 6. So which one will be referred by the compiler? First one or second one?
Second one.
Why second one? No, actually, compiler will generate an error because this is integer, right? How many values? I mean 6, right? How many parameter? 1. 1 parameter integer. This is 1 parameter integer. This is 1 parameter integer. This is already conflict. This is conflict. But if you do like this, but if you put float here, is it conflict? Now it's not conflict. Now it's okay because now if you call this one, which one will refer? First one or second one? Second one, because 6 is integer, right? But if you put 6.3 or 6.0, compiler will call this one. But if both are integer, then it's wrong. It's conflict. Okay, always remember, method overloading are allowed in Java. Means you can have more than one method or constructor with the same name, but make sure there is no conflict in the parameters. Okay, it's very important. So I take out this one because I just want to show you as an example. Okay, now you can save. Save as what? Counter dot. Yeah, make sure save in JDK. Go to B. Okay, counter dot. Okay, all files. Okay, save. Done. Okay, so for any question about class counter.java? So we have completed the first part of the question. So now we will move to the second part of the question. Okay, before that, any question that you want to ask?
How many marks?
This one. This one normally the exam will give you 10 marks. 10 marks, and for the inheritance 10 marks. Okay, but normally for the exam you need to just, for each question, just do one class. We won't ask you to create multiple classes for each question. No, normally means each question you just develop one class program. Okay, you won't need to develop multiple classes for a question. Okay, any question about this, Noah? No, actually you can put, but actually no need. If you want to create object, you can do it in a different class, different file. Okay. Okay. Any other question? Some book they will use main in the same class. Okay. But if in the module, and if I teach Java, normally I won't include main in the same class. Okay. I'll do it in a separate class. Okay. Okay. So first part is almost done, but I won't show you this. Okay, this one I won't show you because this one will show you how to create object of class counter. Okay, you can do it as homework. Okay, you know how to create object. You already have class, you can create object, right? How? You know how? Okay, let me just show. Okay, in another program that is executable, create the object of the class counter and then call the appropriate methods to see the output. A method can be called many times in order to see the effect to the output. Okay, when I say in another program that is executable, it means what? You need to have main method. Okay, can you run this class counter? Can or cannot? Why? Two reasons. Because this is just a class definition and you don't see main method here. In certain textbook, what they will do in a class definition, they will also include a main method here. And inside the class counter, they create main method and they will create object. It means you can run this program. But sometimes that is confusing because students cannot differentiate between object and class. Okay, so that's why when I teach, I will put class program, this class program, then I won't put main method here. For main method, in order to execute the whole class here, I will go to a new file, then I will create a new program, then I will create an object in that new file. I mean, object means for this class. Okay, I will show you. Okay, you go to new notepad. Okay, just put class. You can give any name. I just put class obj. Okay, just put public static void main in bracket string. This one to memorize. String.js. Okay, close curly bracket for main. This is closing for main. This is closing for what? Class. Okay, how to create object counter? Counter, just put C1 equals to new counter. Then I have another one. Okay, how many objects you have created here? 2. C1 and C2, right? And both are referring to the same, both are object of the same class, right? Okay, this one, what is your conclusion about this? And what is your conclusion about this? This is referring to what? I think last class I told you, when you want to create the object, you need to have class name, object name equals the new keyword, and then this is referring to the class name. Class name, okay, but it's not so accurate, you know. Of course, I think you can say that. But to be more accurate, this is what? Constructor. First one or second one? First one. Why first one? Empty. Okay. This is second object. Okay. This one referring to the? Why second one? Yes, got value. And these 4 from the user will be assigned to value. So value is 4. 4. So 4 will be assigned to data. Okay. So if you, what happened in the memory? How many objects do you have? 2, C1. Then you have C2. Okay, for C1, data equals to 0. For C2, data equals to 4. Can you see difference? Both are object of the same class, but the state of these 2 objects are different. Data here 0, data here 4. Okay, if you see here, okay, so what happened? When you create the object of class, when you create the object C1, C1 is the object of class counter, you call counter. You know this is the first constructor, right? So the compiler will jump here, 0 will be assigned to data. So that's why for C1 you got 0. And for C2, you are calling the second counter. I mean, you're calling the second constructor. You know it's second constructor because there's a one value which matched to this parameter. So 4 will be given to value. So value now is 4, which eventually will be assigned to data. So that's why for C2 data equals to 4. Some of you might ask, why not give 4 directly to data? No need to use parameter. Cannot. In Java, I think last class I told you, you need to have an intermediate. Okay, user cannot, value from user cannot be directly assigned to attribute. You need to do it through an intermediate, and that intermediate is parameter. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to create the third object. Okay, C3. I put 12.3. Okay, so now what's happened? How many parameters? 2. 2, right? 12.3. Can you see a constructor here having 2 parameters? No. So what? Error. Yes. So it's error. So you cannot just simply create, you cannot just simply put number of attributes as you wish. Cannot. It must be matched with the constructors available in the class. Okay. Okay. So you have C1, C2. So now C1 want to invoke methods. How? So okay, let's say C1 I put update. Then I put C1 dot update. Okay, and then I put C2 dot update. Okay, and then I put C1 dot display. And then I put C2 dot display. Okay. Okay, tell me the output of this program. C1 update. And then object calls again the method C1. Okay, then C2 object calls update. Then C1 object calls display. And then C2 object calls display. Okay, let us go through one by one. Okay, here C1, the data value is 0. For C2, the data value is 4. Okay, now we call, now C1 update. Update means what? Data top up by 1, right? So T1 initially, C1 initially data is, no, initially C1 is what? 0, right? Now becomes 1. Then again C1 update. So become 2. You know why? Update 1. Okay, then C2 calls update. So for C2, data is 4. So 4 plus 1, 5. Okay, C1 display. C1 display, system of line, the value of data is what? 2. Right. Okay. And for, okay, now then C2 display. C2 display, this display, the value of data is 5. So the